Hello, everyone. On today's show, we finally got some mail. Thanks, everybody. We were talking a little Blackhawks and some possible trade targets, talking some Bears, some Alshon Jeffrey news, talking some Cubs as position players report to spring training, talking Bulls as they seem to be turning things around a little bit, and, of course, our Meatballs of the Week. Hit it. Today is February 24th, 2016, and welcome in to Sosa's Steam Room. My name is Drew, and the man sitting to my left couldn't record on Tuesday. It's Blake Van Pocky.
Is that Busta Rhymes in the intro? I've been asking you. You haven't given me.
I don't think it's Busta Rhymes.
I think it might be though.
We'll look into it.
Well, let's look into it
so we don't get sued. But we'll look into it, and
that's probably shouldn't have brought that up.
Yeah, I probably should have brought it up. Well, I think this might be our last podcast now.
Busta Rhymes.
Busta, how about for some for some payment? You just come on the podcast. I know that'll really boost your popularity.
That'll boost some sales of albums in the 90s.
Busta Rhymes. Shout out to Busta Rhymes. But before we give more shutouts,
Jake Arrieta.
Shoutouts. We love email. Send us some questions at sosasteamroom@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter and Facebook account. Search Sosa Steamroom. We also have some personal Twitter accounts. Mine is at DN Edstrom. And Blake, your Twitter handle?
At SoldierField, BLG.
BLG. And we have a website that is in the works currently and is coming soon. But we'll talk about that a little later.
Yep.
Also, just a programming note for you all. We're going to be recording on Tuesday nights from now on and releasing Wednesday morning. So those of you on the lookout, just so you all know, Wednesday morning is when we will release our magic to the public.
That's what
yeah. Hey, guess what?
What?
We got mail finally.
That's amazing. I can't believe someone mailed us.
Someone sent us mail, and it was from our good friend Ryan. Some of you listened a couple weeks back. We talked about Ryan and his beef jerky delivery service, which is very interesting.
Did he mail us some beef jerky?
No, but we should work on that.
Next time, Ryan. I hope you're listening.
Ryan's probably listening. But, yeah, we want beef jerky. We also have a question from Matt from Joliet. So Ryan's question... he sent us 4, but we're not going to get into all of them because we don't want to be here for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could poke any of our previous Meatballs of the Week with a fork, who would you poke?
That's a very good question. And how hard are we poking here?
It's a little...
We're going to break the skin.
We don't want to hurt anyone, but just a little poke.
I would probably have to go with Big Ben, believe it or not.
I'm with you. I'm with Big Ben.
I want to see what comes out of, if you poke him, see what happens,
I don't even know what's in there. So, Ryan, I hope that answers your question. And question number 2 from Ryan. Blake, would you rather be co-hosts with an actual meatball or be co-host with Drew?
Like a big meatball?
Like a giant like a talking meatball.
Oh, easily a talking meatball. I'd rather do anything with a talking meatball. Can someone hook that up for me?
Some crazy scientist out there hook us up with some weird
big
meatballs.
Big talking meatballs.
And also he wanted us to know that he was delivering spicy Cajun beef jerky.
Ooh, I
2
like
weeks
that.
ago. So shout out to Ryan.
Shout out to that. Spicy Cajun, that's a nice flavor.
I like spicy things. Matt from Joliet had a question, and this is mainly for Blake. He said in his email. So Matt for Joliet, here's your question.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think the Hawks will trade at the trade deadline? Who could bring back the most in return?
Now, that's an interesting question because most of the time they don't really trade a player at the NHL level. It's mostly a prospect or, a pick or sometimes both. I would say if there is a player going to be moved, it could be like an Andrew Shaw or
What young guys are you looking at that could possibly be shipped?
That's a tough one, too. I've been thinking about that a little bit. There's a lot of prospects that could possibly move. Vinny Hinestroza, Mark McNeil, guys like that are just names to keep an eye on.
Do you see Dano on the move at all?
That's a very interesting
name.
That's a very interesting name to bring up
because they got that in return for the Saad deal.
Yeah,
and he has some value, I think. And teams probably would be interested in him.
That's actually a name I wasn't really thinking about, but definitely a possibility, and he could bring back a lot in return. So yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Blackhawks, we're gonna transition here a bit. Right on to some Blackhawks talk. Weird weekend for Blackhawks. They play an outdoor game in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Lose that one big time and are now 1-3 in outdoor games. What are your thoughts on outdoor games in general?
They completely oversaturated them. They had the year where they did like 6 of them, one in California too, and now they had 2 this year. And the fact that the Hawks themselves have been in 4 and 3 in the last 3 years is, it's kind of overkill at this point. Especially, it's lost the novelty of what it once was. So
I believe this weekend's outdoor game was like the lowest rated television audience out of all of them.
Didn't sell out.
It's not special anymore to me at all. So it'll be interesting to see what the NHL does.
And apparently it's not very special to the Blackhawks either.
Yeah, I bet they're sick of it too.
They're
not doing
like
well.
That.
So maybe just a message to Blackhawks front office: just don't do them anymore.
Yeah,
just stop it. It was really annoying watching Minnesota fans.
Gary Bettman has a crush on the city of Chicago right now. For a good reason. I mean,
obviously.
Bringing lots of eyes to the game. And
Look at us.
We're a bunch of good-looking people here, let's be honest. But.
Best-looking people in America.
Fact.
That is a fact. So, outdoor games, not the biggest fans. And the Wild have been on kind of a tear recently.
Yeah.
They're
on a 5-game winning streak against the Hawks, believe it or not. I mean...
we're not talking like playoffs.
Not playoffs. We're talking regular season.
All right. Blake, we're gonna play a little game here. I'm gonna give you. Blake loves games. I'm gonna give you a list of players.
Yeah.
And you're gonna tell me if they could be a fit on this Blackhawks roster.
Yeah.
And just tell me your confidence level and like how good they would fit in the system. Person number 1. Mikkel Bodker, left winger from Arizona.
Yeah.
On the season, he's played 56 games. He has 13 goals, 24 assists, and 37 points. He's 26, and the cap hit would be right around $3.75 million.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
In terms of fit, he'd be a great fit, maybe like an 8, I would say. He's a rental player. His contract's up at the end of the year. But he's having a great season. He's having one of his best seasons on the Coyotes. And I know Arizona wants to re-sign him, but, he might not want to take that deal in the desert. So he'd be a really nice fit and would be a nice addition to that first line.
Would you give up someone like a Shaw for him?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely give up, one of those first rounders and maybe a prospect, maybe a proven player like Shaw. Maybe not as much, maybe Hinestroza or someone like that, but he's definitely someone I'd like to make a move for.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Player number 2, Louis Eriksson, left winger as well from Boston. Played 57 games on the season, has 20 goals, 25 assists, 45 points on the year, and is 30 years old. And the cap hit would be right around $4.25 million.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, he'd be a good fit because he's a winger. Mm-hmm. And, the Blackhawks need a left winger right now. The only problem with him is he's sometimes a little inconsistent. But, he'd be a nice addition. I'd say maybe around like a 6 or 7 in confidence level. And he's been around the block before. He's been in the league a while now. But yeah, he'd be a nice fit. And I'm not totally sure, what we'd have to give up for him at this point. what his market value is compared to like Bodker or some of the other guys out there. So,
our last player we are going to talk about, Andrew Ladd, another left winger from Winnipeg. Obviously been in Chicago before. Has played 56 games on the season, has 13 goals, 17 assists, and 30 points. He's 30 years old and a cap hit around $4.4 million.
Well, obviously we all know who Andrew Ladd is here in Chicago. It'd be a nice fit because it'd be familiar with the coaching staff and the players still on the team. You know, there's some crossover from that 2010 team to now. He's pretty expensive, and judging off the interest I've seen around the league, might be the most sought after guy that they could go after. But I definitely think it's a possibility, and you know we've been hearing Andrew Ladd on trade talks for a while now. So
just because he's kind of a familiar name, as you said.
Yeah, he's a rental guy too. But honestly, with the Blackhawks cap situation, do you really want to bring in a guy who's on, you know, a long-term deal, or you know?
That's a little risky.
Yeah.
I'd say no at this point, but you know, Stan knows more than we do.
And that's the thing I like about Bodker is, you know, depending on how he fits with the team, he could be a candidate for extension. There's a couple guys like that. Ladd maybe on a cheaper deal, but yeah, he'd be a nice fit, obviously.
All right, well, looking forward to the week ahead for the Blackhawks. They play the Preds that are currently on a 7-game point streak at home, and then they go to the great state of Arizona.
Great state.
To play those Coyotes
yeah.
on Sunday. Bears time. Talking a little Bears.
A lot of stuff today.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff today from Ryan Pace and John Fox as they address the media before the combine gets going.
A lot of confirmations on what we were thinking.
Yeah.
You know,
what we kind of all were thinking in regards to Alshon Jeffrey.
And some other players and, you know, just their general, you know, their idea of what's going to happen in this offseason.
So Alshon Jeffrey, Ryan Pace made it very clear today that they are going to try to sign him to a long-term deal. And if that doesn't work out, then they'll tag him if need be. So your thoughts on that, on those comments?
Yeah, I mean, I saw this coming. Alshon Jeffrey is too valuable, and the wide receiver market this year in free agency is really just kind of bad outside of Alshon if he made it to the open market. So, you know, they had to find a way to keep him, and you know they'll tag him if necessary, which is good. So, but I think they'll get a deal done.
You think so? Do you have a ballpark estimate or anything that sticks out in your brain?
I don't have a specific number. He will get paid a good amount. He's definitely the market. You know, his market value is pretty high right now, just because you know there's not an abundance of really good receivers out there, especially guys at his talent level and his age too. So he'll be a nice fit.
And I think if the Bears do need to franchise tag him, it could be a blessing in disguise for him because Alshon could just come out, be healthy, play extremely well, and make more money the next season, hopefully with the Bears. But I'd love to see him signed, locked into a long-year deal. Or
last year, every guy who got tagged ended up signing a long-term deal. So that kind of shows you like how the NFL
is kind of moving towards the tag a little bit more and what it means. I also like John Fox's comments about the running back situation, and he sounded very confident in Langford and your boy Kadeem.
You know I love Kadeem.
And you know there's going to be competition there, which is always a good thing in camp. You want guys battling, going at each other. So that's just a testament to how good of a season Langford had last year, and John Fox was talking about how he's a great all-purpose back.
Yeah.
Did a lot of things for the team, and I think they're going to be big pieces moving forward.
I think they're going to bring in another guy. I'm not totally sure. There's some names out there that are intriguing, like C.J. Anderson, guys like that. But yeah, I'm confident in these two guys moving forward. So I mean, it's looking good at that position, even without Matt Forte.
And John gave a lot of love to Jay today, which was a nice thing. Coming in with all the question marks last season, Jay had a nice, steady season, and John credited him for that. He said Jay really provided for us, and we're looking at him as the starter moving forward. So,
despite what